Secretary Hegseth, you oversee one of the largest and most important organizations on planet Earth. More than anything, the Department of Defense needs stable, competent, and strategic leadership. And much as I had feared back in January, it is not what we are seeing under your leadership. In a matter of months, you have lost top aides and reportedly struggled to hire new ones. You have fired highly respected top military officials. You shared highly sensitive attack plans over Signal and apparently with people in your own personal circles, and you've not taken responsibility for those mistakes. All the while, the security challenges we face have grown larger, not smaller. And then in the face of these challenges, you have taken a series of actions that weaken our posture. For example, in my home state of Washington, which is home to many DoD installations critical to our Indo-Pacific strategy, you have pushed out almost 2,000 highly trained civilian employees, including at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. Mr. Secretary, you talk about returning the department to its mission of warfighting, but I am repeatedly hearing that your policy and personnel changes at the Pentagon are only undermining, not strengthening our military's preparedness to protect our country. You are deploying the American military to police the American people. You're sending the National Guard into California without the governor's request. Sending the Marines not after foreign threats, but after American protesters. And now President Trump is promising heavy force against peaceful protesters at his D.C. military parade. Those sorts of actions and that sort of rhetoric from a president of the United States should stop every one of us cold. Threatening to use our own troops on our own citizens at such scale is unprecedented, it is unconstitutional, and it is downright un-American. We should all be speaking out against this and demanding accountability. Now, Mr. Secretary, I have to say, for people who tout their commitment to transparency and efficiency, I've never seen an administration more bent on hiding basic facts from American people. Your department has been unresponsive to congressional inquiries and oversight requests, all the while you are working to muzzle the free press, denying journalists access to the Pentagon press corps. Now, before I turn to my questions, let me just note, it is now mid-June, and we only, just a few days ago, received some, but not all, important portions of your budget request. It should not have taken this long to get this request, and we do still need to see the justifications in order for this committee to do its work. We're missing those. Not having a full budget at this juncture is really unacceptable. So I am deeply concerned. So let me turn to my questions, and this is important. This administration has put the civilian workforce under attack from day one, encouraging resignations, firing probationary employees, instituting hiring freeze, requiring OPM to approve any new hire one by one, and now, new last week, requiring prospective employees to explain how they would, quote, help support the President's executive orders and policy priorities. We have spoken with military installations across our country. Almost all of them have been forced to fire skilled civilian employees who are badly needed. And all of them also have hundreds, and in some cases thousands, of new hires ready to bring on board, but now have to individually be reviewed by OPM, apparently to ensure that they support the President's priorities. Secretary Hegseth, I want to know, and keep your answer short, I have limited time, will you be firing more shipbuilders, yes or no?
Senator, we haven't fired shipbuilders. We've offered through a right sizing of our civilian positions, which everyone in this committee would acknowledge that the Defense Department has had a bloated bureaucracy for a long time, have given a voluntary process by which some people can choose to take a DRP.
I'm just asking you
so
a
it's
question.
not a firing of shipbuilders. That's a totally disingenuous characterization of what our department is doing. We are focusing on shipbuilding.
Mr. Secretary, do we need more or fewer shipbuilders?
We are investing historically in our shipbuilding defense industrial base and workforce and ships in this budget, more than anything the previous administration ever did.
So, well, you managed to fire highly skilled workers, including my home state of Washington, for no reason. So let me just say, the Navy needs welders, not people who can recite a president's executive orders. If the Navy wants to hire a qualified candidate for the role, but that candidate happened to vote for or donate to Democrats, would they be hired?
Senator, there's never been a litmus test for hiring welders.
Well,
If you can weld, you can work at the Defense Department.
That is what they are being asked. And Mr. Secretary, I just have to say, we need to drop the politics in our military. We need to hire the best people. We do not need to force them out. That is simply the case at this point. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. Welcome.
What Senator Patty Murray did in that tense exchange wasn't just another heated moment on Capitol Hill. It was a much-needed lesson in what accountability should look like when democracy is being tested. Watching her calmly but firmly confront Secretary Pete Hegseth about the firings and politicization inside the Department of Defense reveals a larger story, one about how political loyalty is quietly replacing competence in some of the most important institutions in our country. Senator Murray's line of questioning cut deeper than politics. She was exposing something systemic, the erosion of merit-based governance. When she asked if a qualified Navy shipbuilder who happened to support Democrats would still be hired, it wasn't a rhetorical jab. It was a warning about the dangerous normalization of ideological vetting. Because once we allow that kind of political filtering into the military or civil service, we're no longer talking about serving the country. We're talking about serving one man or one party. That's the point she was making, and it deserves to be understood clearly. Under this administration's leadership, the Department of Defense has lost not just staff, but direction. Reports of highly skilled civilian workers being pushed out, essential roles being delayed because of political oversight from the Office of Personnel Management, and the prioritization of loyalty over qualification all paint a troubling picture. This isn't about efficiency or right-sizing. It's about reshaping a system of service into one of obedience. And this is what Murray was warning against when she said we need to drop the politics from our military. She's not just defending the rights of shipbuilders in her home state of Washington. She's defending the principle that our armed forces and civilian defense workers should serve the Constitution, not a political agenda. Because when loyalty to a political leader becomes a condition for service, we've crossed a line into something that looks less like democracy and more like authoritarian control. Her mention of using the National Guard to police civilians and the talk of heavy force against protesters is especially chilling. These are not hypotheticals. These are actions and threats that echo through history. We've seen what happens when leaders turn the military inward, when dissent is met with force rather than dialogue. Murray's outrage wasn't performative. It was rooted in a deep understanding of American history and a fear of repeating it. The exchange also sheds light on a growing tension between elected officials and executive appointees, a tug-of-war between oversight and overreach. Murray's frustration over late budgets, withheld information, and restricted press access reveals how secrecy and control are replacing transparency and accountability. When the Pentagon becomes less open, democracy weakens. When senators can't get full budget details, the people lose their voice in how the military is run. And when journalists are denied access, truth itself becomes a casualty. Senator Murray's questioning is a reminder that democracy isn't just about elections, it's about constant vigilance. It's about asking hard questions, especially when those in power don't want to answer. Her voice represented not just a party stance, but a democratic ideal that no office, not even the Department of Defense, is above accountability. There's also a human layer to this that's often missed in political analysis. When thousands of trained civilian employees lose their jobs, these aren't just statistics. They're families, livelihoods, and communities affected. Murray's concern for those shipbuilders wasn't partisan, it was personal. She was speaking for workers who've dedicated their lives to maintaining the ships, systems, and tools that keep our nation safe. To them, the loss of a job means more than a paycheck. It means the loss of purpose, stability, and pride in serving their country. And yet, the administration's focus seems to be elsewhere, ensuring that everyone in the system aligns with a certain political ideology. That's not leadership, that's control. Murray, like many progressives, understands that patriotism isn't about blind loyalty. It's about protecting the principles that make America free. When she challenges that kind of overreach, she's doing what democracy requires, speaking truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable. So what can we take from this? That democracy isn't self-sustaining. It needs voices like Patty Murray's, calm, factual, but unafraid to confront power when it crosses the line. Her questions were simple, but they carried the weight of everything that's at stake: fairness, transparency, and the future of democratic governance. There's also a human layer to this that's often missed in political analysis. When thousands of trained civilian employees lose their jobs, these aren't just statistics. They're families, livelihoods, and communities affected. Murray's concern for those shipbuilders wasn't partisan, it was personal. She was speaking for workers who've dedicated their lives to maintaining the ships, systems, and tools that keep our nation safe. To them, the loss of a job means more than a paycheck. It means the loss of purpose, stability, and pride in serving their country. And yet, the administration's focus seems to be elsewhere, ensuring that everyone in the system aligns with a certain political ideology. That's not leadership, that's control. Murray, like many progressives, understands that patriotism isn't about blind loyalty. It's about protecting the principles that make America free. When she challenges that kind of overreach, she's doing what democracy requires, speaking truth to power, even when it's uncomfortable. So what can we take from this moment? That democracy isn't self-sustaining. It needs voices like Patty Murray's, calm, factual, but unafraid to confront power when it crosses the line. Her questions were simple, but they carried the weight of everything that's at stake: fairness, transparency, and the future of democratic governance. We can't afford to look away from these hearings or treat them as political theater. They are, in many ways, the front lines of the democratic process. Every question, every exchange, and every demand for accountability matters. Because if we stop demanding answers, we start accepting silence. This is what Democratic Voice is about, giving context to the moments that shape our democracy, helping viewers see beyond the headlines, and reminding everyone that politics isn't a spectator sport. It's something we all have a stake in. So if you believe in fair governance, in protecting workers from political retaliation, and in keeping power accountable, stay with us. Subscribe to Democratic Voice, turn on your notifications, and share these stories. Because democracy isn't just defended by those in office, it's defended by those who pay attention. Your voice matters.